Hello and welcome to the Hindu. I'm Sobhana K. Nair, and we are here to discuss the results of Haryana and J&K Assembly polls. As of 2:20 p.m., as per the Election Commission website, in Haryana, Congress is leading on 37 seats. BJP is leading on 48 seats. In J&K, BJP is leading on 29 seats, and the National Conference is leading on 41 seats. And the National Conference-led alliance together are ahead on 52 seats. Uh, these elections are significant in more than one way because this is the first round of polls coming after the general elections 2024. These elections also set the mood for the upcoming polls in Jharkhand and Maharashtra. Now, Congress was hoping to do far better than the results show. They were hoping that they will be their resurgence that we saw in 2024 will continue with this round of election. The BJP was hoping to arrest the decline that we saw in 2024, where they were reduced to 240 seats and had to lean on the allies to form the government. I will be joined by my colleagues from both J&K and Haryana to explain the results. We will first go to Peerzada Ashiq, who is our J&K correspondent. And Ashik, interesting results, I must say. What are your initial thoughts on National Conference's victory, which is a very clear mandate in favor of National Conference? And Ashik, if I may add, these are very significant elections because this is the first time in 10 years that J&K voters are voting. This is also the first elections after 2019, when Article 370 was struck down and the J&K state was reduced to a union territory after the J&K Reorganization Act. So, what are your first thoughts, Ashik?
One, the weather is changing in Kashmir, and National Conference is doing much better than what they themselves predicted. If you spoke to National Conference leaders in the past 2 3 days, they thought the maximum they could touch is 35, but right now they are at 41, and they had a pre-poll alliance with Congress, and they only contested on 51 seats. So National Conference is doing much better in terms of, for example, out of 51, they're contesting on 41. It's only 10 seats where they are lagging behind. Uh, I think for National Conference, what has worked is for the first time after 1999, when they passed the autonomy resolution, that they contested this election on core ideological base, rather than Sadak Bijli Pani issues. If you look at the manifesto of National Conference, the top of the agenda was Article 370 and the promise to reverse what was done on August 5, 2019. It was followed by the promise to return and restore statehood. I remember Umar Abdullah saying that the first thing they will do if they have the numbers is to pass a resolution against what was done on August 5, 2019 in the assembly, and to take the statehood case to the Supreme Court and argue that now we have very peaceful elections, both Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. There shouldn't be any reason for holding back the status of statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. Third, there are many emotional issues on ground in Kashmir. One of the emotional issues is people who are in jail since 2019. On that, National Conference not only said that they will withdraw the cases, the National Conference even pledged and promised that Public Safety Act, a law which deals with preventive detention, will be revoked. Even he said the way UAPA is being used again in many cases, especially against protesters in Kashmir, they will also be reviewed. So there were a lot of emotional issues where Umar Abdullah was able to connect this time, unlike Lok Sabha elections where he lost from the Baramulla seat. And his vigor and energy was evident from the number of rallies he would do a day. He is contesting from two seats, Badgam and Ganderbal from Kashmir Valley. He has already won from the Badgam seat. He is leading from the Ganderbal seat. If you look at his campaign map, you will see he even did 8 to 10 rallies a day. which is quite a bit for a politician to do. So probably it is paying for national conference for the efforts national conference put in ideologically narrative. They also build a narrative around engineer Rashid that probably it's a Delhi's game plan to fracture the mandate in Kashmir. It seems they have the mandate right now. If they stay where they are right now, say around 41, and Congress, which is leading from 6 seats, they crossed the majority mark of 46. It seems by and large, National Conference will emerge as the leading party from J&K.
Ashik, that is a perfect segue to discuss the independents. There was a lot of conversation around them in the run up to the elections, and it was believed that they are going to complicate the results further. And there were all sorts of predictions about a hung assembly. So, what does the leads so far indicate? Where do the independents stand, and what role do you see them playing?
See, we had around 908 candidates contesting from J&K this time, and out of 908 candidates, 365 were independents, almost 40% of the total candidate strength of J&K. For mainstream parties or the regional parties, they looked at independence as a major threat rather than BJP in Kashmir Valley. Take Omar Abdullah's Ganderbal. He was contesting against 16 candidates, which included a huge number of independent candidates. Similarly, wherever, for example,
They were seen as they were seen as a proxy for the BJP in the valley. Is
so
it?
this is the allegation. National Conference built this argument or the narrative that all those who are contesting as independent candidates is part of BJP's plan to fracture the mandate, make it easier for other players, in a seat to win. Because once they fracture the mandate, the chances of winning by any candidate becomes, sort of it goes up. But I think that has not worked. I think the National Conference's cadre, which was silent in the past 30 years because of the boycott politics, has resurfaced itself, and they acted as a very silent voter. They did not talk about it. Even National Conference was not sure that they will win. So with they will win from 41 seats. So the whole case, even if you look at the statements made by BJP leaders, including Ram Madhav, who has been camping in Kashmir in the past 1 month, working on both independents and BJP, uh, even they were confident that around 8 to 9 independents backed by the BJP will win. But except for Gurez, which is very remote pocket where BJP has done well, it is number two, but it has not been able to perform in any of the 19 seats where they contested from Kashmir Valley. Even the independents who were seen potential winners, we have former ministers and MLA like Hassan Mir, Usman Majid, Hakim Yasin, who were seen as strong independent faces with potential to win. They have most of them are either trailing or they have lost the elections. So there's a clear message from Kashmiri voter probably that they have voted on the plank of Article 370, on the promise that everything what was done post 2019 will be reversed. It's a lot for National Conference. I think they are under the burden of their own pledges now. It will be interesting to see how they, once they assume, if they have the numbers and they form the government, how much can they actually deliver on the ground, given the power which Lieutenant Governor has in J&K, in terms of executive powers, which he still retains, even if we have an assembly in place.
Yeah,
Shobana?
we'll discuss that later in detail. But coming to one another big story from J&K is the Congress's absolutely disappointing performance, both in Jammu, where they were supposed to pull their weight to give the alliance a more secular face, and in Valley also, where they've done. Not so well. Out of the 31 seats that they fought, I believe, as per the EC website, they are ahead only on 6 seats. So, uh, what
See,
went wrong for them?
there was a pre-poll alliance between Congress and NC. So they decided to contest together from 83 seats. On 7 seats, they said that they will have a very friendly contest. And Congress was contesting from 32 seats, and out of 32, around 6, 7 seats of the Kashmir Valley. But what we saw in the run up to the phase two and phase three, that Congress focused more on Kashmir Valley and looked at National Conference as its main rival. A point in case is the rally, Rahul Gandhi's rally in Sopore in North Kashmir. He did the rally on the same day when Omar Abdullah was scheduled to do a rally for his candidate. That shows that there was a lack of communication between the partners. And the idea that they should focus more on Kashmir seat has not paid for the party. In Jammu, if you compare the campaign between the Congress and the BJP, you will realize there was a sense of complacency and there was a sense of overconfidence. Yes, there was anti-BJP wave which was building in the past 5 years. Unlike Kashmir Valley in Jammu, anti-BJP sentiment was from the economic crisis they are facing, the issues of unemployment, the rise in inflation, or daily issues, sadak bijli pani. Uh, uh, but even there, Rahul or the Congress leadership couldn't create a narrative with which people could connect. If you look at the number of rallies Rahul Gandhi did in Jammu, he did one in Surankot, one in Jammu town, and another in Samba Kotwa belt. And compare it with Union Home Minister Amit Shah's rally in the Peer Panchal, which has just 8 seats. He almost did 2 rallies in every seat. He stayed there for 2 nights. It's a very remote region. It's not in the plains of Jammu region. But they put in the efforts. We saw Rajnath Singh going to Banihal and going to remotest pockets of Kishtwar and doing almost door-to-door campaigning and meeting local leadership there, which was not, which we couldn't see when Rahul Gandhi was meeting people, except for creating a narrative around statehood that will restore statehood. Nothing concrete was offered by the Congress to the voters of Jammu region, and giving them a reason why this party is better than the BJP in terms of what is the roadmap they have post 2019 for the Jammu region. I think Congress lacked narrative. I think BJP put a lot of effort. They brought the top faces of the party from Delhi to campaign, stay back in Jammu region, and it has paid for the party. I must tell you, it was the last ditch effort by the BJP, which has gained them more than 5, 6 seats. And
Ashik,
Congress, yeah.
before you weigh in on the BJP's performance, I just want you to also tell me that do you think that it was the alliance, the pre-poll alliance with the National Conference, played against the Congress in one way? This whole narrative of statehood that NC played on worked against the Congress in Jammu.
I won't say I wouldn't agree with Shobna, partly because of the reason in Jammu there is a sentiment for statehood. And there are many people who want, if Article 370 is not restored, but they look for security when it comes to legal security in terms of land and jobs. So sentiments may be different. It won't be around Article 370, but Jammu too has a sentiment that the jobs and the land should be secured for locals. So I don't think that, I think there was a lack of intent. I think the Congress thought probably it's much easy to win elections in Jammu. They did not put the kind of efforts the BJP put and the kind of narratives even BJP built. For example, they polarized the last phase of elections by saying that if Abdullah's, Muftis, and Gandhis come to power in J&K, they will change the name of mountains and hills in Kashmir from Hindu to a Muslim name. So they did try to polarize, and the Congress leadership did nothing to counter that or address those fears, or to create a sense of hope among people why they should vote for the Congress. Yes, Congress's tricky issue was Article 370. They had a very major distance from that issue. They did not talk about Article 370 in any of the rallies. They did not say that they back the manifesto of National Conference. They stick to statehood. For example, Kharge talking about that we will have two house assembly system in the future if they come to power in the center, but they limited their campaign there. But I'm saying more than that, they couldn't add or they couldn't emotionally or issue-wise connect with the people or the voters of Jammu. I think Congress needs to think inwards and need to learn where it went wrong. Even when there was an opportunity to build in the on the anger and the anxiety of voters in Jammu region.
Thank you, Ashik. I think I will now go to Vijaita, deputy editor here in Delhi. She covers home ministry and keeps a keen eye on the developments in J&K. Vijaita, do you see, because this is the first election after the 2019 striking down of Article 370, do you see this as a verdict on the Article 370?
I don't think it appears to be a verdict on Article 370 in the Valley, but in Jammu, BJP has more or less retained the seats that it won in 2014. So there is a stark difference between how the Valley has voted and how Jammu has voted. And coming to the question of Article 370, now the center and most probably the National Conference and Congress, which will come to power in the state, which is still a UT now, as statehood has not been restored, they will have to have a more conciliatory approach towards governance. Because till now the opposition parties had been saying that since Kashmir was under central rule and we did not have any say in day-to-day affairs here, but now they will not be able to take that route. And so, to avoid a situation like we see in Delhi, where the chief minister is on a war path with the governor on a daily basis, so we may see or we may not see that kind of a scenario in Jammu and Kashmir, considering the fact if they play their part well, the NC Congress, they will have to keep the interest of the people also in mind, because a lot of people have given a decisive mandate. There were a lot of rumors, there were a lot of analysis being done. It was being said that it's going to be a hung assembly, and center will try to appoint five more nominated members, and that may help the Bharatiya Janata Party. But if you look at the mandate, it's a clear and decisive mandate, and it's a mandate against the policies of the Bharatiya Janata Party at the center, more so in the valley. So they want a government which speaks for them, and this the approach that will be taken by NC will have to be seen, because last time when the PDP had aligned with the BJP, we can see the results now. They have been decimated in their, even in their boroughs, in their stronghold, in the areas which was considered to be their stronghold. So NC will have a tight rope to walk on, and Congress, being a national party, they will also have to maneuver their national policy along with the sentiments in the state and the policies that is being adopted by NC in the state. So NC has been in favor of restoration of 370, but 370 can only be restored by the center. And as we can see, we have the Bharatiya Janata Party in the center. So that will be a tricky path for the NC Congress alliance, as I can see for now.
Vijita, I want you to explain what are the challenges ahead in terms of for the security establishment, because I believe there was some conversation going around about pulling back on the grid, the entire clampdown, and all the claims about normalcy. How do you see what do you see ahead?
I don't think there is going to be any major change as far as the security apparatus is concerned, because before this UT assembly was elected, the government changed the transaction of business rules. They amended the transaction of business rules for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and they gave all the police powers, the transfer, the appointment to the lieutenant governor. So it still stays with the center, and there is a unified command of which the army is also a constituent, the police is also there, and the central armed police forces are also there. So that call will still be taken by center, and I think uh, just like Delhi, law and order is not part of the elected chief minister's mandate. So it will be just like Delhi, and I don't think the chief minister will have any say in those areas. But a cause of concern is revival of terrorism in Jammu region. The BJP and the central government have always been saying that 370 eradicated terrorism from Kashmir, but we see a new front opening in Jammu. This year, more than 20 attacks have taken place, and more than 20 security force personnel have been killed. And it's not only this year, the trend was seen last year also and the year before. So while they may rejoice, while they may say that Kashmir is all normal and hunky dory, but you have opened a new front in Jammu where militancy and terrorism had ended, say 3 decades ago. So there is a new front which is open, and the elected chief minister, though he may not have a say in day-to-day affairs, but yeah, he may have some say in, because if you speak to people in Kashmir and Jammu also, the most common thing which came about was that we don't have an elected representative. And so if we have any grievance, say a naka is being put, or say some land is being taken for some security, so who do we go to? So in a way it's good that this the elected representatives are back and people can go and air their grievances. But I don't think there is going to be any major change in the security policy of the center.
All right. Thank you so much, Vijeta. And I think now we shall move to Haryana. I will be joined by my two colleagues, Vikas Vasudeva and Ashok Berwal, both of who covered Haryana extensively in this election. So Haryana has definitely put up a surprising result. It's especially for the Congress, who exuded confidence going into the campaign, and they believe that it was a victory for theirs for taking. And as of 2:30, as per the election commission, the BJP is leading on 48 seats, and Congress is leading on 37 seats. So my first question is to Ashok. Ashok, do tell us what are your initial thoughts on the BJP? BJP, I don't think they themselves believe that the results will be so favorable.
Hi, good afternoon, Shobna. So the first thing that I would like to say is, like, if these leads hold, the results so far, then it will be a historic verdict not only for the BJP, for the Haryana as well, because it will be for the first time that any political party will be coming to the power for the third consecutive term. That has never happened in Haryana, so it will be a historic verdict for Haryana as well as for the BJP. And to begin with, like, going into the election year, uh, early this year, so the biggest challenge for the BJP was the anti-incumbency, because they were in power for 10 years in Haryana and in the center as well. And there were two, three major hesitations also. One was the farmers' hesitation, which had a widespread support in Haryana, then the restless hesitation. Then the Agniveer scheme also caused some resentment, because Haryana sends almost 7 to 8% of the soldiers to the army. So the Agniveer scheme had also called resentment among the people, especially in South Haryana and the Jat land. So, and some of the decisions taken by the then Chief Minister, Mr. Manohar Lal, they are also not gone down well with the people. So, the first thing that the BJP did was to, like, the change of the guard. So, before the Lok Sabha elections, they changed their Chief Minister to fight that anti-incumbency, and they brought in Mr. Nayab Saini, who is an OBC leader. So they were like hitting two birds with a single stone. On the one hand, they try to beat the anti-incumbency, and on the other hand, they also try to lure, or you can say, cater to the OBC vote bank, which is around 40% in Haryana. Some of the decisions which were taken by Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar during his tenure, like some of the e-initiatives, the Parivar Pehchan Patra, the
The
family
digital
ID,
initiatives.
yeah, the digital initiatives. Although the government claimed that they were aimed at bringing transparency and the doorstep delivery of the services, but the implementation was not up to the mark. So it caused a lot of resentment among the people. So, and then there was some resentment among the sarpanches as well. Some of their rights were curtailed, and the Agniveer scheme as well. So when Mr. Nayab Saini took over, the first thing he did was, like, he reversed some of the decisions which were taken by his predecessor. Like, he provided 10% reservation to the Agniveers. He set up Samadhan Shivers to address the problems caused by the e-initiatives and their on-spot redressal. He announced MSP on 24 crops to address the farmers' concern. So some of these steps really help to contain the anti-incumbency against the government. And the second thing that really went to the BJP's favor was like the two factors. One is "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas," the slogan of "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas," which literally means the all-round development, no discrimination. And second was, which like everybody spoke about it, even the Prime Minister spoke about it, was the jobs on merit, or "Bina kharchi, bina parchi ki naukri." These two things, I think, these two things really struck chord with the voters, especially if you'll go to the South Haryana, uh, the Airwal belt, Gurgaon, Rewari, Mahendragarh, Bhiwani, Faridabad. So there was a common refrain among the voters that during the Congress regime, these areas were neglected and most of the development remained confined to the Sonipat, Jhajjar, and the Rohtak belt, which is
I
the
want to
Huda.
remind I want to remind our audience to actually go back and read Ashok's story from Ahirwal, which highlighted those very issues, what Ashok is just mentioning right now. And Ashok, definitely for BJP after 10 years, nearly 4% increase in vote share, they stand at 40% vote share. That's huge. And you think that all this correction was made in just last 7 months?
Not just the correction, also, I think what has helped to the BJP is the downfall of the JJP as well, because both the Congress and the BJP, they have increased their vote share. And going by the vote share, both parties are neck and neck, almost 39%. So the BJP's vote share has also gone up by 3%, and the Congress's vote share has also gone by 12%. So both these have actually increased their vote bank at the vote share at the cost of the JJP, whose vote share was 14% in the previous election, but this time it's less than 1%. And
Yeah.
the BJP's campaign, the highlight, one of the highlights of the BJP's campaign was they uh, campaigned extensively against the Hudas. So they basically targeted the Hudas. They called it the Baap Bete Ki party, the dynasty politics. So they extensively, even the Prime Minister in his addresses, he addressed for release. So he spoke against this dynasty politics. And the other thing was the Dalit vote had a very crucial role to play in these elections, because during the Lok Sabha election, the SC vote has voted extensively for the Congress. So SC vote was one very important factor in these elections. So I think somewhere the BJP was more aggressive in fighting for the Dalit vote or the SC vote compared to the Congress. I think the Congress took it for granted that the SCs will vote for it, but the BJP really fought hard for it. In almost all his rallies, the Prime Minister tried to label the BJP as anti-Dalit and the Congress as anti-Dalit.
Congress are
Yeah.
anti-Dalit.
And they also came out with an ad campaign just, I think, 2 or 3 days before the counting, where they spoke about all the atrocities, the violence which was targeted against the Dalits during the during the Congress regime.
Hmm.
Also, the differences within the Congress, the
Yeah, we'll come. Ashok will come. I think I need to bring Vikas in for that question, and you've set the stage beautifully. Vikas, welcome. What a stunning disaster it has been for the Congress. I'm sure they did not expect it till yet. I mean, they were prepared to celebrate, and then the results come like the bolt out of the blue for them. So please tell us what went wrong for them.
So I would like to start it with a quote from a Congress leader itself during the election campaign. So I was talking to one of the senior Congress leader, and he was quite confident of the victory and was quite assured that it would be around 60 plus seats. And having said this, he immediately said, if anything is to be lost for the Congress, it would be for the Congress to lose this election, that it would be the, and probably that has come true for the Congress from here. So what we are seeing, the situation basically for the Congress, we were expecting, yeah, that Congress was having an edge. But at no point of time, BJP, when we went on the ground, it never looked that they are out of the reckoning. They were definitely in the fight. Yeah, so in elections, anything could be happened in the last moment. For the Congress, the critical thing again, it was probably the repetition of the previous elections, that the factionalism was like it was the people were talking about their factionalism. You have some kind of disagreements within the BJP as well, but you will never see that people are talking about it on the ground. But for the Congress, whenever we went to the ground and talking to some people, they were always talking, yeah, they are divided in Shalja camp and the Huda camp. Now, what happened was that immediately we would see this, that when the ticket distribution happened, Shelja, she went quiet, and it was around for 7-10 days that she was absolutely quiet. She was not responding to any calls. So between this 7-10 days, as Ashok said, BJP took this opportunity, and they were so aggressively campaigning, taking this as a center stage for the shelter to make it a anti-Dalit plank for the against the Congress. And during that 7-10 days, they in each and every rally we saw that be it Prime Minister, be it the Home Minister, or the local leaders in Haryana. So everyone was making it that how they are basically ignoring the Dalit leader in their party, and this probably have dented the Congress in this election. We can see from this fact that as of now, probably BJP in 2019, they were having five out of the 17 SC seats, they were having 5 seats, and now they have increased it to 8. And the Congress, which was having 7 seats in 2019, now they have only reached to 9. So basically,
Yeah,
they were, yeah. So
Congress has held on to its Dalit votes, and
yeah,
if
but
not,
that was
has
the thing.
increased it slightly.
Exactly, but they were expecting. See, there is another thing to it, that it's not just the Dalit vote, because BJP after the Lok Sabha elections, probably they were on the back foot on the Dalit front. But they realized that it was not just the consolidation of the OBC that would help the BJP, but they need to go beyond that, and that's why they were focusing on. But the Congress, probably they just felt that, okay, we have Jats with us, and the lists were taken for granted, as Ashok also pointed out. And this is eventually what happened, that overall that factionalism that made a difference. And for the last 10 years, it's been a decade, Haryana state unit of the Congress, they don't have an organization on the ground level, at the block and the district levels. Even then, that the reason behind that again is the factionalism. Whenever they try to make block presidents, district presidents, so the other group would come up and no, these people are not going to be appointed. So this internal fight has basically cost the election for the Congress. Apart from this, yes, we can also say the issues, probably constitution is in danger and all those things, they didn't work on the ground for the Congress this time, it appears.
Because also, when you talk about factionalism, how much blame do you assign to the candidate selection by the Congress? Because we've seen that in this election, there have been a lot of Congress rebels who have actually managed to garner the same number of votes, equal number of votes as is the margin of defeat and victory between BJP and the Congress candidate. So, where
Yeah.
like Ambala Kant, for example, is a prime example where the Congress rebel candidate has got a significant number of seats. Sorry, votes.
Votes, yeah. So that's what I was just saying, that it is the repetition of the 2014 elections, once 2019 elections for the Congress again. Same kind of situation was there. They were hoping that we are winning, because at that time also the BJP was going through this anti-incumbency factor and all that stuff. But eventually, when they went and decided on these tickets and all, and same scenario was there. Shalja was there, Randeep Surjewala was there, Bhupinder Singh Hooda was there, and they were all fighting for these things, for the votes, for the tickets itself. And this similar thing has happened this time again. They haven't taken any lessons from the history, and as he said, that it was for the Congress to lose these elections, and they have done that.
Yeah, Ashok, I will come back to you. When we were talking initially, you spoke about JJP, and you said that the results that we see, the jump in the vote share of both BJP and Congress, somewhere is because of the decimation of the regional players, both JJP, Dushyant Chautala's JJP, and INLD. First, we will talk about JJP and then we'll go to INLD. But JJP, what a spectacular fall from nearly 15% vote share in the last elections to being pushed to, I believe, the sixth rank in his own seat, Dushyant Chautala.
Dushyant is, I think he'll not be able to save his deposit as well, because the
Right.
last time I checked, he was, I think, on the sixth position, so he might not be able to save his deposit as well. But it was very much expected, and everybody saw it coming, because Dushyant Chautala was seen as the next Devilal in Haryana by the people. And one thing that the most striking thing about the voters in Haryana, they vote out of emotions. So they are emotionally involved with the candidates or the party they vote for. Like even today, the people have, if you go around Haryana, people have a lot of respect for Devilal. Even now people vote in the name of Devilal because he started the old age pension. So people get emotionally involved in Haryana, and that was the case with Dushyant also. People saw in him the next Devilal, and he had sought vote against the BJP, but but when he allied with the BJP after the elections, and then during the farmers' hesitation also, he failed to understand the emotions, and he had accepted this in an interview with the Hindu, that he failed to understand the emotions of his voters and the farmers. So when he failed to understand the emotions, they got completely uh, uh, disillusioned. The voters got completely disillusioned. And when I recently went to the Uchana assembly, so the people were very categorical. He told me that we are not going to cast even a single vote for him. So this was the level of anger and resentment against him. And it's very much obvious in the results also. And both the Congress and BJP had gained at the cost of JJP, which had 14% vote share. Now it's struggling to get even 1% vote share. And so far as the other regional parties are concerned, see, before 2014, also Haryana had always been a state of two parties. It was Congress and the INLD. Briefly, when the BJP came to the Haryana's political scene in 2014, so briefly for 2014 and 2019, they were like there was some space for the third party as well. For the INLD and the Congress and the BJP, all three coexisted. But now it's again, this election has again proved that now it's again going towards bipolar state. And both the regional parties, the INLD and the JJP, they've been completely wiped out. And not just the regional parties, the new parties also, like the Aam Aadmi Party, the BSP, or the Azad Samaj Party, which were looking for some kind of toehold, uh, looking to have some kind of a space in Haryana politics. It has also been completely ruled out. So it's and see, the both the Congress and the BJP together, they have increased their vote share by more than 15% at the cost of the regional party. So I think it's the end of road for the Chatalas and for the regional parties. And as of now, there's no space for the new uh, entries. Hello?
Ashok, will we see a reunion of the Chautalas?
That's very unlikely, because it's not just a political feud. It's also about a feud within the family. So a lot of emotions are involved, and there's a lot of bad blood. So I don't think it's unlikely. Although the JJP will be willing, but I don't think the Abhay Chautala will be like accepting it. Earlier also there was an attempt, but Abhay Chautala is categorically ruled it out. That there can, but in politics, anything is possible. But as of now, it doesn't seem that they might reunite. Or even if they reunite, they have been like politically, I think, finished.
Okay, Vikas, I want to come back to you because I want to talk about the biggest winner in the Haryana elections by far, by the longest margin, is Naib Singh Saini. You pull out a man. BJP has this habit of pulling out rabbits from their hats, and Naib Singh Saini pretty much was an unfamiliar face, at least beyond Haryana. And in 7 months, he has turned around their sort of fate.
Honestly speaking, I would disagree on this point a little bit, that it was just not Naib Singh Saini, it was primarily the top leadership making a difference, be it Prime Minister Narendra Modi or Amit Shah and all this. They have, as you said, they have a habit. Maybe in Himachal Pradesh, we have seen how Jairam Thakur was installed as the chief minister and then he came. But yeah, eventually what happened, it was not just the face of the Naib Singh Saini, it was that his credential of being an from belonging to an OBC category, other backward class category, that basically played out well. We very well know that BJP was very clear about the politics of Jat versus non-Jat. So they, as we know, in Haryana, around 35%, between 35 to 40%, it is OBCs. That eventually that clicked for the BJP. It appears as of now, because the reason is whenever we were talking to some people, that they had this at some time somewhere down their mind. It was a situation whenever I was, especially when I was traveling in the GT belt, which we called it. It is dominated by the BJP. In his constituency itself, Ladwa and all, Kurukshetra.
You need to
So
explain what is GT belt. Let's not assume that.
GT belt is the Grand Trunk, the national highway, and the constituencies which are along this belt. It is
On the side.
primarily, it is primarily basically said to be the stronghold of the BJP. The reason is because after the partition, we have seen huge number of Punjabis traveling and they get settled on these regions. So the BJP has, and so now when we was speaking about this, so because the BJP raked this issue, the Dalit issue, very firmly, that how the atrocities against the Dalits were being done during the time of the Congress, it somewhere also had an impact on the OBC people, in the sense that, okay, we need a chief minister who is from our community. So why we should not get together? And this clicked. And if you see, by 35% OBC, if they are consolidated, it's going to give you a result that probably the BJP is witnessing right now. So this is something that has clicked for the BJP, apart from whatever at least they claim overall development and all those factors. But it is the caste equation that is the most critical factor in Haryana, at least, that plays. And BJP, what appears is that they have once again they have appeared to click it for in their benefit.
Right. Now I will be joined by our political editor, Nistula Hebbar, because we are in the last part of this conversation, and we need some concluding remarks first on the BJP, and then we will be joined by Sandeep Phukan later to speak on the Congress. Nistula, what a result. As
Absolutely.
always, exciting. Elections are always exciting and always unexpected.
Result day is like carnival day for political journalists, and this time round also it didn't disappoint people. The electorate has not disappointed. Completely different results to what even pollsters had predicted. In fact, it's the exact opposite of what the pollsters predicted. They predicted a sweep in Haryana for the Congress and a hung assembly for Jammu and Kashmir. Whereas the BJP has swept in Haryana, and there is a sweep in Jammu and Kashmir for the NC Congress alliance. So it's a really, really interesting day with a lot of people also requiring introspection. For the BJP, of course, I would say, Sobhana, that they seem to have got the electoral mojo back after the below par performance that they posted in the Lok Sabha polls. 240 is not a total to be sniffed at, but after posting 303 in the last election and going 400 par and claiming all of that, 240 seemed a little bit of a below par performance even for the party workers. There was a lot of demoralization and everything in the ranks, but they have done a superb job of pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. Both, I would say, of course, in Haryana, but also in Jammu and Kashmir, where in Jammu, there was a lot of infighting and their house is not in order, and they were really looking at a debacle till, they really woke up and sorted the whole thing out.
Nistula, but these elections are significant primarily also because they set the tone, and the opposition believed that they will be winning one by one the state assembly elections, which will set the tone for the next general election, or maybe they were even hoping for a midterm poll and basically elbowing out the BJP dispensation at some point. At least that was the backroom conversations all about. But obviously,
I was very ambitious.
Yeah, things haven't gone their way. But how do you see this going forward, especially in the context of Maharashtra and Jharkhand polls?
The first, of course, impact of all of this, as I said, would be on the internal morale of the party. So if your army is energized, you will be going into further battles on a high note. So in Maharashtra also, it will have a big impact. All the little things. In fact, today in the Hindu, we have carried a story on all the cabinet decisions taken by the Maharashtra cabinet in the run up to the announcement of the dates, which aim to correct. Do a little bit of course correction and also set the narrative for their campaign. There's Ladki Bahin Yojana and cow belt, the cow as Rajmata and all sorts of things, to appeal to a Hindutva vote bank, daring Uddhav Thackeray to kind of take them on the Hindutva field. Or it's all going to have an impact on Maharashtra. They're also going to be happy because you see, even with this result, they're also able to stoke a little bit of trouble in the MVA camp, because now the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray will be asking the Congress, which has been acting a little high-handed within that alliance, that look, I mean, you were not able to pull off a victory in a direct fight with the BJP. You needed a regional ally in Jammu and Kashmir. They are the dominant ally in Jammu and Kashmir to win that election. So therefore, in Maharashtra, you have to kind of cede a lot of space, even though Congress was thinking to be the single largest within that alliance in terms of seat adjustment, and also not committing for a CM-ship. So all of these things are going to be very good news for the BJP. BJP has also kind of learned what the organization can do for it. So their organizational people are going to be very, very relieved at the result in Haryana. And this piecemeal approach that they do of setting little narratives in order, which they did in Haryana in terms of, say, Agniveer, about 100% employment for them, which was announced by the state government. Then the moment the Supreme Court decided that subcategorization of scheduled caste should be allowed, they came up with a subcategorization and gave a large number of seats to non-dominant Dalit communities in the 17 seats that reserved seats that Haryana has. And in terms of farmers, the MSP announcement that they made. So the way they went, Kisan, Jawan, Pehelwan, all of that, they went piecemeal. They tried to do a major course correction, and they just didn't. They took the right lessons from the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, and they're hoping that in Maharashtra they will be able to do so. Jharkhand, anyway, they are a bit upbeat, but Maharashtra was a big worry. I think today's results will allow a few people to sleep well tonight, at least, before they get back to work next morning.
I had asked this question to Vikas also, but I want you also to weigh in on the contrast between Naib Singh Saini and Manohar Lal Khattar. Both of us did a story about how the BJP had played smart and kept Mr. Khattar invisible through the campaign. And obviously, they put Naib Singh's face in front. How do you see that played out?
See, that played out quite well because if you recall, you had sent me the ground report from there where we had, put together a story. And there was a quote, you quoted a person that you spoke to there who very categorically said that while that he may not be happy with what the BJP government had done so far, he was very chuffed about the fact that the BJP was the first party that had given an OBC the CM-ship of a state like Haryana. And therefore, for that reason alone, he would be voting. So one big thing is, of course, the parochial identity of Mr. Saini being chief minister, in contrast to a very dominating sort of Jat community. They're martial and they're dominating. And there is an aggression which is seen, which is kind of feared by the other community. So that helped in a lot of the consolidation that happened. But secondly, also, Mr. Khattar is a bit of a distant figure. He was not very popular among the party workers. And Naib Singh Saini, younger than him and of the new style, and he wouldn't think twice before putting his arm around a party worker and talking casually. And even if you see some of his interviews on television, which we did, where he's sitting very casually around and chatting, and Mr. Khattar just didn't give off that vibe. So within the party itself, within the party workers, there was a great feeling that no, he's an improvement on Mr. Khattar. Mr. Khattar, being a Punjabi, also did manage to kind of inspire the Punjabi community in Haryana, as you also found out because you did go to Karnal, his constituency, and that was your reading. But BJP managed with this change. It worked for them, as it worked in Uttarakhand in the past. And it hasn't worked in certain other places, but in this case, it worked for them.
Yeah. One last question before I let you go. Do you think BJP is happy with its performance in J&K?
Yes, I spoke to some leaders from J&K just now. They said, look, we'd had no stakes in the valley, but in Jammu we have swept. And in the valley also, the only thing that disappointed them was the performance of the independents, who they were backing. They said we expected at least 10 of them to win. No, very few of them have won, and hardly any, in fact. And that has been a bit of a disappointment. But on the whole, in terms of geopolitics as well, and geopolitical narrative, which is always attached to an election in Jammu and Kashmir, they felt it was a fair, a good result to have, because you have a very strong opposition. BJP, Hindu-dominated Jammu has been swept by the BJP. So their ideological point about Article 370 still stands. And they managed to get all the reservations and everything in for Gujar Bakarwals and for STs and SCs, which was not there in the assemblies under Article 370, or assembly seats, etc. Delimitation happened. All of that happened. So, and this NC Congress alliance, which is not the BJP, has come to power, which means that the election was free and fair, which is an important point to make internationally. And that it was free and fair, and a party which is not the ruling party in Delhi is in power. So geopolitically as well, for Mr. Modi's government, it's a good signal to give out. Even if they don't win power in that state, they've managed to win a significant political point internationally.
Thanks, Nistula. I think I will reserve the last word for Sandeep Phukan, my senior colleague who covers the Congress. Sandeep, are you here?
Yeah, Shobna.
Hi, Sandeep. So, Sandeep, stunning results for the Congress. Shocking, in fact, not stunning, definitely. Shocking results for the Congress. I want you to answer specific question because I've dealt with most of the other questions with Vikas and Ashiq and Ashok. But is there a lesson for the Congress here? Because if we saw Rahul Gandhi stayed away from most of the campaign, there were few decisions that the central leadership wanted the Hoodas to take. For example, aligning with Aam Aadmi Party, they wanted to give more space to Shelja, which they couldn't manage to because they had to cede space to Huda. So this election, once again, the Congress central leadership had to take a step back, as we have seen in the past in Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh. So what do you think is the lesson for the Congress here?
Well, the lesson is that never be too complacent. I was speaking to somebody who was closely involved, with the Haryana campaign, and he was telling me that, whenever he went and offered a suggestion, it was as if, the state leadership knew it all. They would, rather question him that, on what basis are you making this suggestion? We know our state very well. So clearly they were not open to suggestion, talking about the state leadership. The lesson is that, and you quite correctly mentioned, that in 2-3 states we have seen this repeat itself for the Congress party. Chhattisgarh was one state, Madhya Pradesh another state, and it is reliance on the state leadership in Chhattisgarh, Mr. Gale, In Madhya Pradesh, the entire campaign was left to Mr. Karnal. And in the case of Haryana, the entire campaign and the election management was left to Mr. Bhupinder Singh Hooda. No doubt, he's been a two-term chief minister. He's very experienced. But the point is that the central leadership will also have to be, they'll have to be more involved. They will also have to take suggestions. Lots of things wouldn't have worked for the Congress. I mean, as you would have spoken to Vikas and Ashok, Sandeep, the Congress was seen as a party which enjoyed largely the Jat support. And as you know, in Haryana, they say 36 biradri, so 36 communities. So if you are seen as a party which is predominantly being supported, then that naturally works to the advantage of the non-Jat community, to the advantage of the BJP in terms of getting support from the non-Jat community. So did the Congress leadership do enough to actually assuage or sort of calm the apprehensions present among other communities? That's one question. The open fight between Kumari Shelja and Mr. Hooda. I'm sorry, I have a visitor. I'm sitting here at the India International Center, and there's a monkey behind me. So there are monkey games going on here. Anyway, so I think yes, this is a this is a this is a lesson learned, I would say. Uh, but I think on a serious note, Shobna, I think what this does is that there would be immediate repercussions and there would be long-term repercussions. One is this over-reliance on leadership is one aspect that's come out. But more immediately, it puts the Congress at a huge disadvantage in terms of its negotiating power with allies going for the Maharashtra elections. They already they are in an alliance with Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, I mean, they are ruling alliance, so there is anti-incumbency. So Jharkhand election is going to be an extremely difficult election. Maharashtra, the Congress could have actually gained if they had won Haryana. They would have gone, the momentum would have been with the MVA, the Maha Vikas Aghadi. But now that is not the case, number one. Number two, Congress's own bargaining power within the MVA would considerably go down. Remember, in the Lok Sabha polls, they had done very well. They had won 13 out of 17 seats that they contested. They had emerged as the second party. That advantage is now lost. So a
Yeah,
lot
right.
has
Thank you.
changed for the party between June 4th and today,
Yeah,
October 8th.
clearly. We saw Rahul Gandhi in the pole position after the June 4 results. And in the run up to Haryana elections itself, we saw the state unit not listening to him very much. But anyhow, thank you, Sandeep, for
Can I
joining
show you
in.
the monkeys? Shobna, can I show you the
Yes, please.
monkeys? There you are,
Yes,
the
please.
monkeys.
I think that's a wonderful way to end this conversation. We aren't monkeying around seriously. And thank you for joining us at the Hindu. And to all political junkies out there, I would suggest stay tuned to the Hindu because we are as obsessed about politics as you guys are. See you soon.